Good afternoon. Welcome to Business This Week on ITV. I am Blessing Aichi. Today on the show, we're looking at the contribution of SMEs to economic growth. Before we do that, let's take a look at business activities for the week. On Business Roundup, our first story says tax experts have said that a new judgment on the administration of value-added tax in Nigeria might adversely affect the revenue of states, hamper the ease of doing business in the country, and repel foreign investors. A federal high court sitting in Port Harcourt had on August 10 held that the Rivers State government and not the Federal Inland Revenue Service was the rightful authority to collect VAT and personal income tax in the state. According to the experts, the judgment is on the premise that only the state is constitutionally entitled to impose taxes of the nature of consumption or sales tax in its territory. A tax expert and the African tax leader at PricewaterhouseCoopers, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, said if the judgment was enforced or upheld on appeal, it would apply to other states. According to him, ironically, the biggest losers would be the states, except Lagos. A few states like Kano, Rivers, Oyo, Kaduna, Delta, and Katsina may experience minimal impact, while at least 30 states, which account for less than 20% of VAT collection, will suffer significant revenue decline. The federal government may, in fact, according to him, be better off, given that the FCT generates the second highest VAT after Lagos, in addition to import and non-import foreign VAT. Another expert and chief operating officer and risk management partner at KPMG Nigeria, Mr. Victor Oyigba, said a new judgment would not improve the internally generated revenues of most states. He added that VAT collection, if left in the hands of states, will be fraught with inefficiencies and other administrative complications. Now moving to our next story, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has called on policymakers to be consistent to aid ease of doing business in the economy. The president of MAN, Mr. Mansour Ahmed, on Wednesday stated that the lack of consistency in the enactment of policies was making it difficult for manufacturers to keep their costs low and operate profitably. Ahmed said inconsistent policies, power supply constraints, and public infrastructure deficit are some of the issues facing the industry. He added that the multiplicity of taxes and levies, imposition barriers both on the monetary angle and the infrastructure aspect, also make it difficult to operate and keep costs low, explaining that the association have been communicating this with the various regulators both at state and federal level. Moving on to the stock markets, equity investors in the Nigerian exchange gained 64.93 billion naira yesterday as the all-share index rose by 0.32% to 39,670.29 basis points, its highest since April 26, 2021. The market capitalization of equities increased to 20.67 trillion naira on Thursday from 20.60 trillion the previous day. Trading volume jumped by 52.90% from 132.01 million shares, worth 2.67 billion naira, traded in 3,307 deals on Wednesday, to 201.84 million shares valued at 1.68 billion naira in 3,274 deals. In other parallel markets, the dollar currently sells for 517 naira, while pound sterling sells for 708 naira, and then euro sells for 607 naira. And that's it on Business Roundup. We'll take a break, and it'll be time for us to talk business. Thank you for staying with us on Talking Business. Today we'll look at potentials of SMEs for economic growth. I have been joined by an entrepreneur, the person of Emmanuel Agri Edonije. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
He's also the MD of Mindspring Business School.
Thank you, viewers out there, for having me today on this show.
It's a pleasure. So, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you're very familiar with what it takes to build an SME, that's a small or medium scale enterprise in Nigeria. What's it like building a small business, small or medium business in Nigeria today? Okay,
yes. You know, first of all, I want to quickly state that Nigeria as a nation, Nigeria on itself, it actually has a very high profile when it comes to entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And then you're talking about the MSME just now, the micro, the small, and the medium-sized enterprises. And these are actually the people that are actually, let me say, running the nation.
Okay.
Because as it were, we have about 37 to 41 million entrepreneurs. And so the entrepreneurial market
Registered
economy, yeah, of course, yes.
Nigeria.
So the entrepreneurial market is actually, you know, a huge portion of the Nigerian GDP.
Okay.
You check it just now. And so talking about what we need, or what an individual needs to drive entrepreneurship is actually a very bogus and wide, you know, question to ask, because there are so many things.
The basis. Because these days, a lot of persons are doing self-run business. You know, a lot of persons, a side hustle, also want to have their own business. So what's the process today in Nigeria, bearing in mind that we're also in a pandemic era?
Yes, of course. Processes of setting up a business are actually very clear. It's actually very good that as a business person or someone having the plans to go into business, you try and see how you can formalize such a business.
Okay.
If you're going for a business name or you're making an entity, like going for, you know, you have to visit the CAC. Of course, the first thing first is you having the idea of what you want to do. People just wake up one day and then, for the fact that they have money, or for the fact that they have time, for the fact that they have, you know, nothing doing, they think the next thing is just to jump into the business they see a neighbor doing. And at the end of the day, they end up, that's why in every 10 businesses you're seeing today, in 2 to 5 years time, you only find out that only 2 end up being successful. Because why? These persons, or these other 8 persons, probably have not sat down to count the cost of building such a business.
Okay.
And so that's where we start from.
Okay.
Trying to see how you can, first of all, you first of all have to get a burning desire.
Okay.
When you have that desire, you make out your plans. Then after your plans, you say yes to your dreams. Because, you know, a lot of people are actually planning, having ideas here and there. And that's another part of it, for you to press play. And then try and see how you can activate this idea to becoming what you need to become.
Okay, so how do you press play, using your words, to kickstart an idea and turn it into a business? How easy is it to do all of that, translate the idea to a business that people can patronize and that you're making profits?
Okay, yes. First of all, I started by saying you have a burning desire.
Okay.
Burning desire means you are ready to do something. You are having the plan. Okay, fine, I need to do something. And now what do I do? First of all, you're having a passion of something. You know, do you have a skill? Do you have a drive?
Okay.
What do you want to go into? Like myself, I am a born physiologist.
Okay.
I'm a physiologist by profession. So I did medical physiology in the University of Tekuma. And so when I was done, like I always tell people who actually come around me, physiology is all about the normal functional or the functionality of the human body.
Okay.
And so I did cardiovascular physiology. So it means the blood, you know, and its vessels. And then you and I know very well that the life of a human being lies in the blood. And so when I came into business, I started to look at what is the life of a business. And I discovered that it's the finance, you know, the pushing factor that you need. That's why if you're having any idea just now, you're having any dream, if you do not make out plans on how you can drive, on how you can run, on how you can push that, you know, that business, you must have just been wasting your time. So that's why when you have this burning desire, you sit down and then make your plans. You draw out your plans. Then drawing out your plans also has to do with you studying that business.
Okay.
This trade I want to go into, it's called venture. How much do I know about it? It's not enough. Knowledge is very key. It's not enough to you just sit down. That's why, you know, in Mindspring, what we do to put you on track. Put you on track and tell you the T's, the errors, you know, the A's, the commitments, and then the knowledge you need to know before you can even start. So that when you start, you don't get frustrated, because the entrepreneurial journey, it's a tussle. It's a big bustle and hustle that you have to be ready before you even have to start.
What are the basic things that you must know as an entrepreneur, or before you set on the journey as an entrepreneur?
Business planning, first of all.
Okay.
Sit down and do your business planning. After which, do your feasibility study. Don't go and sell water for people who don't actually need it, who have seas around them and all that. Don't go and sell stones to people who live in areas where you have gravels everywhere.
Okay.
So you must do your feasibility study. Do these people, how much, okay, these goods I actually want to make just now, I want to start selling, or these services I want to start offering. How many persons are willing to pay for it?
Okay.
In other words, the talent is not enough. People don't pay for talent. People pay for solutions. So that you have a talent about something doesn't mean that you're going to make money out of it. Okay. So you have to sit down, do your business planning, do your feasibility studies, go out there to check. That is why people, big companies today, you're having Coca-Cola, you're having 7-Up, a lot of us have actually read about how they started. How many times they have to go out there and then give out, their drinks for people to test, to try. Would you like to have this drink often? And then how often would you like to pay for it? Papers are shared, seminars are done to actually get reports from the public.
Okay, so you need to do a survey. But if you can't do a survey like that, maybe you can't begin to go around to ask people about their need. How do you do that, given our environment and understanding that not every person is literate? So to bring it home to the level where each person know, okay, I have to do this, this is how I can do it. Is that an easy way to just maybe have a survey of the environment, a survey of the needs of people?
Of course, yes. Every business is actually set up to, first of all, solve a problem.
Okay.
You must be able to identify that problem. And that's what we did. When I started my business in 2015, after I left school, what was the problem? I actually had to go back to my village, Igara, Kwedo, where there was this big issue of horse having to travel for about 5 minutes to 1 hour to a local government close to us to go make bank withdrawals. And that became a problem. So what it means just now is that if you want to make financial activities, you have to travel for 1 hour to go get a service of 5 minutes. Because you get a paper you fill and then you are done.
It's time consuming and also fitting into your finance.
Of course, yes. That became a problem that we needed to solve. And so when I brought that service up, come and make withdrawals from here, come and push your money to whichever bank and all that. People, royal fathers and what have you, were like, you mean I could just come here, make withdrawal in 2 minutes? I don't have to go to Ouch anymore. I don't have to go to a plumber for those who are having banks that are very far away and all that. So that is a problem that has to come in. So when solution came, it wasn't difficult for people to, to quickly, see that, yes, this is a solution to a problem that, we'll be hoping that, God, when is it going to come? So if you're going to start a business, please, first of all, you have to sit down to understand the solution to a problem that's already existing. If you don't have a problem, that solution, nobody's going to pay for it. That means you're going to start begging people to, come pay. You're going to start talking to friends and families to come pay. And if they even pay for it, they may not come back. Because business can only continue when you have a solution that people are ready to pay for and continuously, pay for.
What about when you're going to a feed for which solution has already been provided, and so you want to compete? What should you know if you're competing? Okay,
yes. I usually say this to my mentees. You have a baby who is 3 months old. He or she grows to 6 months old. You as the mother, the baby cries when he or she is 3 or 6 months. And then you see everybody's running. Yes. If you don't even run fast enough, your husband might even be angry. What are you doing? Didn't you hear her crying? This same child, 2 years later, is going to cry and then you get angry. Are you a baby? Like, what is wrong with you?
You expect the child to grow.
Good. What does it mean? There are persons who have started businesses for 4 years, for 5 years, and then they did very well. They did marvelously well. Please, if you want to start such a business, try and check the trend. Because what took them from where they were to where they are just now is going to be different from what is going to take you from where you are now to where you need to be. The same little boy that cried some years ago, and then everybody were the same child just now is crying and then is getting spanks. Because why? Things are changing. So you can even see in transport sector, you see what is happening just now. You see people like God is good. You're seeing Uber, you're seeing boats. So if you're actually doing an Audi just now, you are actually not doing well because things are changing very fast. So these are things that, you don't want to come into business just now. You must be aware of them. Yes, what is happening just now, then what are you bringing in? I have a quote, innovate or die. If you do not innovate, don't bring something new to the table, I mean, you are having a street, a lot of shops, everybody selling the same thing. What are you going to bring to the table differently?
That gives you the edge.
That gives you the edge, because if you don't have that edge, I tell you, the people who are there are going to edge you out. So these are the things you actually have to sit down. Some persons sat down, and they made plans. How can I, from my room, book a taxi? I don't have to go out to go stand on the road and then probably under the rain or in the sun. How do I just do that? And then it's working just now. People just stay in their room. In fact, the driver comes and then it's outside. You are still even making up. You're still dressing up. So you just come out and elegantly walk into your car. These are innovations that we must continually think and look at. Not just somebody does, you just jump into it and then you want to do what they are doing. That's not going to always work in business. Okay.
Today now, what are the challenges facing SMEs in Nigeria that is making them not live up to their full potential?
Okay, yes. As much as we are going to go into that, I quickly want to state that if you're an MSME person out there, you have a business out there, congratulations, because you're actually on the right track. Okay. There's going to be issues, there will be problems and all that, but it's a fight. It's a battle that you must either win or you win. A lot of challenges, so many challenges, ranging from the issue of data to the issue of power to the issue of multiple taxations, from the issue of just name them, financial risk. I said just now that the bloodline of any business is the finance. Every business person needs money, needs financial capacity, to actually move on. And then you see the problems just now that a lot of persons have to face. There was a survey that just happened a few months ago where these guys called them King Watchers, did a survey, and they were actually able to get about 840 MSMEs just to do the survey. Okay. And they found out that only 31% of those guys have been able to access finance from these commercial banks
in Nigeria.
Okay. And this is a big challenge because youths, upcoming youths, and those who have actually been in business need capacity, need finance, financial aids to see how they can continually try business ideas, grow their businesses, and then see how they can grow the economy. Do you know that it is the entrepreneurial industry that has given the Nigeria that name, to become the biggest economy in Sub-Saharan Africa? Okay. Because over 60 million people are employed by these small businesses, by the small, micro, and medium entrepreneurs. Those are the people that actually do the employment and what have you. So there's a huge work that the federal government and probably some other bodies have to do to see that they bring intentionally support to these MSMEs and see that they actually flourish. And then I can tell you, the economy will flourish more, and things will become much better than it is just now. Okay,
is it just enough to provide fund for small businesses? Does that take care of everything? Does that take care of every challenge there is in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I'm talking about fund. I'm talking about first of all having to start with trainings. Okay. And that's where we come in. Trainings are actually there. You have to talk about mentoring after you train. A lot of things we do in this country, I think, just about training. There are a lot of training schools, a lot of scholarships on ground. There's even one going on right now in Edo State here, from Faith Foundation. We keep on.
I think if we go on with the name mentioning, we'll have to keep paying the money.
Yeah, that's true.
Free adverts.
Okay, yes, apologies on that. That's true. So these are trainings that actually go on. You find out that after these trainings, there are no financial aids that come with them. And so these trainings are going to come. Then you have monitoring are going to also come. Then mentoring also are going to come. Then after which, let's actually see how we can go a long way to supporting these entrepreneurs to see that they are able to carry out their ideas the best way.
How open are entrepreneurs in Nigeria to the idea of mentorship and being a mentee under somebody? Is this something that a lot of persons are open to?
Yes, I think recently, following the fintech offshoots, where you have a lot of firms now going, into tech, and then you see a lot of aids from outside, like, I shouldn't mention your name, actually coming in and all that. Okay. I think we are actually having a lot of hubs. Before now, there was not like that in anywhere, but now we even have a hub in Edo State, in Benin here, where people can go, can be mentored, can be trained for, weeks, some of them days, some of them even months. And then after which they are now having the capacity, to go out there and better what they are actually doing. There are a lot of businesses that can actually cite just now that are actually now run by people who have the capacity. Before now, the black man would say, no, it doesn't matter. Of course, we understand the Igbo kind of business where Of course, that's still mentoring. That's still teaching.
In an informal way.
Of course, informal way. You have to sit with your master for 6, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 years, and then the success they have recorded so far is the fact that when you are rounding up, I gotta not tell you, thank you very much for serving me. Now you are now good go. He gives you. If he's talking about, yes, of course, yes. If he's talking about 4 or 5 shops, he gives you 1. And then,
but we still have that system running, and it doesn't seem to be a nationwide thing, because around this area, I've had some artisans tell me that one challenge they have is having those who come to do apprenticeship with them. They don't seem to find that common these days.
No, I think it's the Igbo code. I call it Igbo code.
Okay, you know, it's common in the eastern region.
Of course, yes, it's common with them, and then certainly, you know, with recent records, these guys have actually produced more successful entrepreneurs than even Harvard, because they've taken that to heart. They've sat down. Then what I'm bringing out there is the fact that after this training and monitoring and mentoring this mentee, there is a need for a backup.
Okay.
For at least have a place you can actually start with, and then that's where they actually have gotten it right.
Okay.
So actually, we need, you know, us, you know, bodies out there that are actually looking at trying to see how they can, you know, sensitize this economy. Of course, the federal government has done very well using the COVID-19, you know, facility that came out during the, you know, COVID. But unfortunately, that came out, and then such monies would have been used for a lot of stuff, food. Because a lot of persons lost their job, a lot of persons. But if it actually come ordinarily on a platter,
without the pandemic,
yes, of course,
a problem,
should have gone a long way to actually, you know, be able to sensitize the economy as regards entrepreneurship.
Okay, now let's also talk about mentorship in the informal sector. Now, you cited the mentorship, the informal mentorship we have in the eastern region as working for them. Is there a way there could be a collective mentorship for artisans in this part of the country? So we have, even if it's not exactly what you have in the eastern region, but something like that, so that there is this continuous transfer of knowledge to people who want to be entrepreneurs.
Of course, it's very possible. What we're actually coming up with just now is having to cover a gap. Okay. Remember I told you just now that everything has to be about a problem.
Okay.
We sat down there, we saw a problem. What was the problem? Oh, of course, I know people are medically inclined. When it comes to education, when it comes to training, they are so inclined. And but the issue just now, I think in some other areas too, south, as it were. But the issue just now is that after these trainings, after this mentoring, you know, the mentorship and the what have you, it becomes a challenge to now start that, which you're supposed to start, following the fact that you will not get the needed support financially to now start. But what we have coined out just now in our own area is to now train you on the business of your business, on the business of your talent, or the business of your skill.
Can you expatiate on that?
Of course, yes. Do you know a lot of persons are actually out there who are tailors?
Okay.
A lot of guys are out there who are hairdressers.
Okay.
But they do not understand the business of their business. I make this example every time wherever I go to speak, that there is no reason why a young guy out there driving a boat car should even earn lesser or look less nice than a banker.
Okay.
Because they do not understand the business of that, their skill, the driving skill that they have. They don't understand the finance, how to manage and plan this finance. So there is no planning, there is no, you know, arrangement on ground. You can't be driving a car for more than 18 months, 24 months, and they're not having a plan of at least having yours.
Okay.
And then if you're having yours, there's no reason why you should not be having plans that in the next 5 years, 2025, I should be having at least 2 cars. You know, if I'm making 5,000 per day, I should be able to double it. And that's the reason why those people, you know, keep, keep getting caught up on the web. You can't be riding an Audi for 10, 15 years, and then boat comes now. Just now you're getting to know that, oh, we don't finish boat riders, and then the Yaris guys and all that. So it's all about you having to sit down, to first of all, do your necessary plans, know what you are doing, and then also understand that trends are going to come. And so when you know all that, you actually know that there's no time. You know, you have to do all you have to do just now to be able to remain in the market.
Now, for instance, you talked about tailoring.
Yeah.
That's the fashion industry.
Of course, yes.
What is the business per se in that business that you think, in your experience, some persons do not understand, and that's why a person may say, I have learned the skill, but I do not own a shop, and therefore I am not making use of it. What is the business sense that such a person lacks, for instance?
Fine. Do you know that these fashion shows we watch, most of the guys that do those fashion shows are not even the guys that are best.
Okay.
The most pretty ladies you see on your, what do you call it just now? On
the runway.
On the runway are not even the most beautiful. First of all, you have to even learn how to even sell your market.
Okay.
How do you sell your market? Who are your customers? How do you even meet them? How do you know them? You know, let me digress a little bit. The Bible said, you know, you can even have the product if you don't know how to go to the market. You may not actually be doing anything.
Okay.
So first of all is to even know what you are doing, know how you can sell, know how you can market, know where to sell.
Okay.
And then that becomes a part of it. In that corner that you are, so digital, you're just now talking about marketing just now, is actually a very big part that people don't even understand. Okay. You're doing what you're doing in that very small corner, and then you're even underpaid. I see people who sell things, and I keep wondering, how do you sell this thing for this amount? But because of the environment they're actually confined to, and then they are not able to sit down and look at what is actually out there, outside the box, to know how best they can get, you know, the best profit, you know, from that stuff they're actually doing. And so we teach you how to manage your finance. We teach you how to bring out what you're actually selling. Bring it online. There are a lot of persons, 1 billion people who actually want to see what you're doing. And before you know, you cannot even be expecting those things you're doing. You can export your snails. You can export your fish. You can process them. So it's not enough to just do your fish and then you are selling out. No, for 750. No, you can now process those fish and then try and see how you can make more value, you know, on those stuff you're actually doing.
Okay. So that's what you mean by knowing the business
of your talent,
business, whatever
of
skill
your business, yes,
that you need to add to it, enhance it, and then it becomes more marketable.
Honestly, yes.
Okay, if you just joined us, we're discussing the potentials of SMEs in Nigeria towards economic growth. Take a break. When we return, we're looking at the prospects of SMEs. Thank you for staying with us on Talking Business. Today we're looking at the potentials of SMEs for economic growth. We began by talking about the building up process for SMEs. We've talked about the challenges. Now let's look at the prospect of SMEs. I still have my guest in the studio, an entrepreneur, Emmanuel Agri-Donije. Thank you for being with us again.
Thank you.
All right, now so let's look at the prospects of SMEs. How easy is it for us to find a small business today that turns to a medium enterprise and even a big conglomerate tomorrow in Nigeria? Do we find such transition commonplace here?
Of course, it's very possible. Of course, there are a lot of them in our society that we actually can, you know, cite as examples.
Okay.
That started very small.
Okay.
Either micro or in the medium space, and then actually now macro today.
Okay.
You know, started with 1 bus or 2 buses, and then conglomerates today. Yeah, so it's possible. What I think we have to build in this part of the country, this part of the world, is sustainability.
Okay.
Sustainability. There are companies, you know, if you actually go out there, there are companies that exist for a decade, 2 decades.
Okay.
They don't make a dime. In the process of growing up, I tell you, they continue. You know, I was in a class where, you know, the country manager of Dufil, that's Indomie, was telling us the number of years they had to stay in the country. He was just fuming that we are too impatient in this part of the world.
Is it an issue of impatience per se, or it's about you not being able to stay in business? If you have staff working with you, you're unable to pay salary, if you're not breaking even, so how do you stay afloat?
That is where it comes in. You don't start a business, a generational business today, and then you want to start making money, except you want to do trading. And that's where you see people jumping from, you know, selling of corn to selling of pears to selling of cherry.
Different
and then
business for every season.
That's trading.
Is that not moving with trend?
That's not trend.
I mean, one shop is used to sell provision today. Tomorrow it's boutique. Next tomorrow is food item.
That's trade. You're a trader.
Okay.
Oh, of course you are a trader. You
so you cannot even classify yourself as an entrepreneur at that stage.
At all. I mean, how would you feel? I'm giving you money to do business. And then you told me you want to do corn. You want to sell corn. I'm coming tomorrow to come and meet you selling, I don't know, maybe selling tomatoes.
So you're just a trader.
Also, you're a trader. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, there is a need for you to have this strength.
Okay.
Sustainability is key. You must be able to sit down. That's where all the plan is coming. Because you've already planned that this is what I actually want to do. This is the number of years I need to be on the runway. to actually, get to break even. Like I was saying just now, those guys stayed in the country for up to 2 decades. They had no factory. They had to import everything they had to import. They were still trying the market, testing the market. People are not buying. People are not buying because they now got to understand the problem why people were not buying. So in case you're actually in business, then people are not buying your stuff. People are not buying your services, your goods. You sit down and understand why it's like that.
Okay.
They only
so
could discover.
It's not just for you to stay hoping.
No, you have to do things.
You must
innovate. You must investigate. After that will now bring innovation.
Okay.
They sat down and they actually got to discover that it's not going to be easy because the normal African man is already used to swallow.
Okay.
And so having to choose some kind of stuff that will come out like worms is not going to be easy. And so what do we do in this kind of case? Instead of backing out, they decide to go to the younger generations. That's why you hear the common word, Indomie generation. Because those guys left the older men and then went to our side.
So identify your markets.
Yes, of course.
All right.
The investigation will now make you understand why it's not going, and that will bring in a lot of innovation that will help you now understand that these are not my target markets. If I don't go after this old man who already used to a banana what have you, it's not going to scale. So
in doing that, in staying put, even when you're not making profits, does that mean you must have something on the side to keep you? Because if you're a family man, for instance, you've got dependents, and you're doing a business that is not yielding profit, how do you stay on that, having nothing else to do? How do you pay bills?
Okay, yes, you actually want to ask me what the person was doing before he even came in.
Yes.
In every business, there's what you call...
That be the reason why some persons, once profit is not coming, they lock up and then maybe switch on to something else.
If you actually, when you start a business,
okay,
there's what you call the MVP, minimum viable products. They are hanging fruits that can keep the business going while you're actually pursuing the big picture.
Okay.
So you starting off, and then there are other things you can add to whatever you are doing in that same office.
Okay.
If you're actually having a company, can you do bulk Smes? Can you sell bulk Smes? Can you do whatever stuff? Can you take some other, contracts? Can you do posters for people? You push posters. Can you do adverts? Can you do what else can you do that can actually now serve as MVP? Of course, when you're planning the business, you must plan that in.
Okay. These
are what I'm going to be doing just now. Until look at what this guy. Okay, you said I shouldn't mention him anymore. There's a company that does cars just now in this part of the country. When he started with the parts of motorbikes.
Okay.
And then that's what everybody will need actually. Everybody want to buy. You want to buy your battery, you want to buy your kick, your whatever and all that. After a while, he started packaging his own. Before he started, getting into the parts of vehicle, before he started now making his own.
Okay, so there must be a plan for each stage.
There must be a process. So don't just sit down and just go jump into what have you, and then you have to now probably have 10 million and just now, and then you just jump and go and buy 2 cars or 3 cars. You want to be a car dealer.
Okay.
And then in 1 month or 2 months, you don't sell 1 car, or 3 months. I don't know. You are going to actually fizzle out. So there's a need for you to first of all sit down, plan the business with an MVP. You must have a minimum viable product that you will be selling that will give you fuel.
Okay.
Because once you don't have fuel to move, you're very going to get stuck, and then you don't have any choice than to actually come down. And once you're down, that's actually, all.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now let's look at the collective contribution of MSEs for economic growth. Now, a report actually came up to say that 90% of MSMEs in Nigeria pay their taxes, because there were arguments that those in the informal sector do not actually pay tax as they should. And then there was a counter report that 90% of MSMEs pay their taxes in Nigeria. Now, if that is true, that 90% of MSCs pay their taxes, it means that there's a high remittance. So how, apart from taxes, how else can MSMEs help the economy?
Yes, like you are actually saying just now, if we can actually get up to that amount of MS, even though there are multiple taxes, because I wouldn't know which of them just now.
Okay.
If you're in Edo State, you're going to do the FIRS, you're going to do the ERS, you're going to do, that's Edo State, you're going to do federal, you do Edo, and then you have, local government, you're going to start having business places and all that, and then if you're not careful, there will be some foreign markets where you have, I don't know, a lot of taxes here and there and all that.
Multiplicity of taxes.
Of course, yes.
Challenge, okay.
I mean, I think, like what we said, MSMEs on their own, in Nigeria here, actually already doing what they are doing to see how they can boost the economy. If MSMEs alone can employ 60 million adults, out of the 120 million adults we have, I mean, that's actually a push. And then by the time you have supports coming, you have assistance coming from, various bodies, the government, and all that, I think that can shoot, because These are the guys that run the economy.
Okay.
These are the people that, you know, as small as one person, two persons, one restaurant having 3 persons, one bar having, you know, one lounge having about 8, 20 persons, you know, serving waiters, waitresses and all that. These are the people that actually have made up the 60 million persons that this set of, you know, businesses are actually employed. And so we can only fight to intentionally support them to see that they are actually able to now scale up. By the time I have you as my staff, and then after about 2, 3 years or 4 years, you have to go open your own.
Okay.
You are going to now also have to bring in some persons. Why some other persons will also come in mine? Or you have to support me to make sure that I now have a branch or 2 or 3. It means that more persons are actually going to come in. And this is how we are going to see that we can actually multiply.
Okay.
To see that almost 90 million to 100 million persons can actually be employed by the MSMEs should the right thing be done as regards supporting these guys to the best.
Okay, now before we look at what can be done to support the growth of MSMEs, let's talk about franchise. We don't seem to have much of that going on here in Nigeria.
Yes, I think it's actually growing. The franchise industry is still on the very low ebb. It's still coming. But I think underground, a lot of persons actually already doing it underground. A lot of persons have, you know, outfits where they have to look at what I was watching another just now, where somebody has an outfit where you can bring your car.
Okay.
You bring your car and then the car has to now bear the name of the franchise. Franchise and all that and what have you. And I want to actually believe that even the guys we already mentioned that are into e-hailing services in Edo State, majority is franchise because those companies are not here. You know, they just have somebody who will bring them to the country and then to whichever states, and then they have to, you know, carry on that business in that environment. But I can actually say that I think it's growing. There is still a lot to be done when it has to do with us having to not want to always create the wheel. Like myself, collaboration is my thing. Okay. I like us to always collaborate. What can we do together? There are 1 or 2 firms I'm going to bring down to Benin, Edo State very soon. I'm actually trying to say I can collaborate with them and see how, you know, they can come do their businesses here. I get what I have to get. Of course, they will make theirs too.
Okay, why do you think some persons or some businesses do not like the idea of partnership, do not even like the idea of franchise? Does it have to do with quality assurance? Maybe the fear that the quality of the product or service may not be up to standard with the parent company?
If you ask me just now, I think the parent companies are even the one we say are having the issue, because for a lot of entrepreneurs, if the windows are open, you know, to collaborate as regards coming to see how such a product can actually, you know, go out, I think it's not going to be from the side of the entrepreneur. It's probably from the side of, you know, the parent company, because
there's a drop in the quality.
Of course, yes. Of such a stuff, yeah.
Okay, so what's as we wrap up, what can be done? What are the major things that you feel, if these things are done, the entrepreneurs can pick it up from here, and then it will just be upward growth for MSMEs in Nigeria? What are those major things you want to be addressed? Okay,
sustainability, first of all, for those projects that actually have been, you know, set up to assist the MSMEs. I mean, years ago we had projects like Yes. They are no more on ground just now. We had project like Shopees. I mean, those, maybe they have some sustainability. Of course, yes. That actually will be set up. It's going to start just now. You start and then you grow in it, not probably running into a point and then, you know, that's going down. Somebody else comes and brings, you know, no. There has some sustainability on products that can stand to assist these guys. You're a graduate, you are a youth, you are this, what do you want to do? You want to do whatever. I mean, you have to go through a training. Of course, we already have the hubs, and I believe there are more hubs that actually can be built in almost all the states. There should be areas where entrepreneurs can be trained if they're actually going to be ready, trained, mentored, and then monitored, after which assistance should be given to see that these guys, after going through this process, are able to get what they need to get to actually start that idea and see how they can spin into bringing other guys to becoming either staff or employees. Those guys also learn too, and then they also go and at least how they can at least sprout theirs, and that's how, it becomes a ripple effect into the future of
So making it easy for people to acquire the skill and
yes.
also to set up the practice of the skill.
Of course,
to
yes.
earn and also to take on more people as employees is the way to go.
That's the way to go.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel Agreed, and Jay, for coming on the show today. And that's it on Business This Week today. We've been talking about potentials of MSMEs in Nigeria, how they can help economic growth. We've seen it all, taxation, the taxes can help government revenue generation, and also employment can help reduce the rate of unemployment in Nigeria. So what are you waiting for before you become an entrepreneur today? What is that solution you can proffer? Learn a skill on how you can proffer solution to the problems today, and you'll be on your way to nation building. My name is Blessing H. Until next week, take care of yourself.